Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID 19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.
Digital adaptation is moving at a staggering pace, and nowadays we see many banks allocating significant capital therein to impact customer experience. And our guest today, Mr. Mike Villarreal, Vice President at Veterans Bank, explains how the bank continues to renew itself with its digital approaches and very profitable models at scale. We are your host, Vernon Velasco and Juniap, to bring you today's episode of Straight Talk. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning, Vernon. Good morning, June. Good morning.
So, Mike, we all know how COVID-19 has basically necessitated many banks to set their sights nearly high enough, basically in response to digital disruption. So, in veterans, no matter how medium, how are you dissipating your resources to your digital initiatives to create sustainable outcomes?
I think what happened last year during the pandemic, parang it forced many of the medium-sized banks and even the smaller banks to scale up the digital platforms, no, for the clients. We did have the usual online banking through BankNet. However, with alam niyo naman nung nangyari yung pandemic, when the shift happened, we find consumers who are, I don't know if the word forced is the appropriate one, but many people were really, before the pandemic, hesitant to use online payments because of security concerns, so on and so forth. However, with what has happened, and of course yung safety rin, ensuring safety protocols, parang many people are forced. So we, even in the medium-sized commercial bank segment, already forced to, not in a way, yes, forced not to scale up and to meet the demands of the consumer, because today majority have really shifted their payments towards digital, not just the online banking itself, but mostly on apps, no, banking apps that we see. So may kita naman natin yun. So talagang there's a joke nga, di ba? Who is the main driver of your digital transformation? So there are three boxes: the CEO, the CIO, or the pandemic. It's actually the pandemic for many of us that forced us to go to digital.
So, Sir, yun as pressing concerns kanina, ano nga yun, Sir, veterans?
Yeah, but the veterans.
Yeah.
Sir, since digitalization has been used, sir, nagagamit kaya ng mga ibang mga veterans, let's consider their age na hindi na sila masyadong sa digital age ngayon. How do you address that concern, sir?
That's a good question. Una, we were looking at for most of the veterans, lalo na yung mga 70 pataas.
Yes, sir.
I think many of them, pa rin talaga, will go through the traditional model.
Yes.
Kung ano yung nakasanayan nila, means of disbursement, they will still go through that. However, we are also exploring other means. Some years back, BSP approved yung agency banking, meaning if you want to withdraw, you don't have to go to let's say the bank itself. You can go through a partner, like let's say a pawn shop, for that matter, na mas maraming branches nationwide and mas accessible kung tawagin. So parang it's not exactly an ATM, but it's also at the same time it's more kumbaga sa comfort level nila. Yun yung gusto nila. Pero having said that, marami din kasing na meron din doesn't mean na they're 60 or 70 pataas. hindi na sila gumagamit ng digital. Gumagamit pa rin eh. Usually, nagpapaturo sila sa mga apo nila or anak nila and somehow they manage. No? So, meron pa rin. Hindi naman po totally zero yung mga seniors natin gumamit ng digital applications.
Sir, having said that, ano-ano yung mga unconventional growth opportunities have you seen emerging in COVID-19 that basically, represent a good fit with your current resources and competitive position? And what are the specific digital capabilities have you put in place to go after these opportunities po?
Siguro let me backtrack a bit and say that Veterans Bank is actually a private commercial bank. We are owned by the World War II veterans. Pero since only parang 1% na lang naiwan na buhay ng World War II veterans, ang mga may-ari na ng veterans are the children or grandchildren. The main bread and butter of the bank has always been corporate, meaning deposit products meant for corporate and lending products for corporate. Yung mga clients namin who are veterans are usually the pensioners of the government through the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office and so on. So yun yung main yung pagkumbaga yung bread and butter namin sa corporate. Having said that, yung mga main drivers during the COVID have really been the industries that service basic goods. No, ibig sabihin po sila kunyari nagte-trade ng rice, corn, yung mga basic na necessities ng buhay, no, ng Pilipino. Nag-ease away yung mga, let's say, servicing mga leisure, kunyari mga hotels, airports, yung mga ganon. Restaurants, bumaba. Pero yung basic na business, tuloy pa rin. Kasi kahit na may COVID, kailangan pa rin kumain ng mga tao. Kahit may COVID, kailangan may phone pa rin yung mga tao. Parang may ganon. There are certain industries na nag-thrive pa rin in spite of the pandemic. Of course, nag-aagawan yung mga bangko towards those industries. Also, because of yung Veterans Bank is a government depository bank under Republic Act 3518, nag-create din kami ng products na suited for government accounts. No? Kunyari, mga COVID programs ng LGUs, gano'n. So, yun yung mga nakita namin possible na ways na we can ride the pandemic, so to speak.
In terms of are there really radical changes you've actually undergone to serve these verticals po?
That's a good question. Internally, we've had to adjust many of our functions kasi some of the functions are now work from home. So may adjustments sa technology, sa network, and then sa mga, of course, our own people. No? It's we also had to think about, kasi di ba ngayon dahil may social or physical distancing, hindi na pwede yung mga office layout na before the pandemic. So yung dating, alam niya naman ang office space sa Makati, napakamahal. So din-decide kami, mag-create kami ng parang, how do you say that, mga head office na also that are hubs in the north and the south sectors of Metro Manila. So from one head office, we became 3 different head offices. That way, it's also a good business continuity plan. Kasi in case may mangyari, let's say, sa Makati, we can still service our clients from the north and south hubs. Maraming changes pa eh. Sa technology, instead of dati, marami pa sa employees namin naka-PC pa, sa personal computer, desktop. Ngayon, required na laptop na kasi you need to be mobile. Wala nang kanya-kanyang desk kasi shared na lahat eh. Papasok ka, kakabit ka lang doon, pero wala ka ng sarili mong desk. Parang kasi may scheduling pagdating sa pasokan. So marami talagang changes sa the way we do banking and even the way we do the process internally.
Sir, ano po ang relation ninyo ngayon sa PIBAO, the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office? Are you still in connection with them or in coordination?
Yes. For the business part, isa kami sa mga depository banks ng PIBAO. And many of their pensioners use Veterans Bank as their bank for their monthly pensions. old age pensions sa PIBA. AFP, ganun din. Yung mga retirees ng AFP, pwede rin sa Philippine Veterans Bank. So essentially, they're a client, but they're also a partner in other activities, mga World War II activities, commemoration, and so on and so forth.
Given the changes nga na you mentioned earlier, sir, so ano yung mga IT difficulties that you've encountered along the way in responding to this crisis po?
Sa IT side, di ako masyado well-versed doon sa side ng IT. However, what I can say is, kasi nga di ba, for example, what we used to do before the pandemic, that has to change. So number one, yung programs, So dati, nasanay yung mga tao na papasok siya, nandun yung program sa opisina niya. Ngayon, kailangan dala-dala niya na yon through their laptop or device, sa phone. So, whatever their function was before, na pwede namang work from home, dala-dala nila yun sa, sa laptop nila. So, kailangan yung laptop nila up to speed, up to scale. Second is yung connection nila. Kasi, napansin namin na yung mga ibang empleyado namin na work from home, hirap sa network. Kumbaga, yung data signal nila or wifi nila mahina. So, we have to advise them, maybe you want to change your provider, or maybe kung umuupa ka lang, maghanap ka ng ibang uupahan na mas maganda yung connection kasi importante yon. Fourth is yung mga tao, kailangan mag-adapt sila kasi yung iba hindi sanay parang bumaba yung productivity nung simula. Pero after a while, nasanay din, nag-pick up. Plus, managing people is also challenging kasi iba-iba kayong lugar So, kanya-kanyang bahay na yung some units. So, kailangan yung deliverables pa rin ng kada empleyado. Kailangan ma-meet pa rin. Of course, yung mga frontliners namin, wala silang choice. Kailangan pumasok pa rin sila. Mga tellers natin, mga loan processors natin, and so on.
But how do you assess it? How do you assess the bottom line? You said that it's not productive. I mean, at least initially, do you think this is something at the veterans workplace, this is something you can live with pushing forward?
I think so. Medyo kasi nagulat tayo lahat nung March So, medyo nahirapan mag-adapt yung iba. Ako, to be honest, hindi ako nahirapan personally kasi lagi naman ako out of the office So, sanay ako mag-work ng remote. Pero yung iba na talagang sanay na 8:30 to 5 na sa opisina, tapos all of a sudden yung work from home sila. Yun ang medyo kailangan i-coach pa ng konti before nasanay din. Then also may policies na kailangan i-produce yung company. Ibig sabihin, i-set nyo dapat yung yung mga deliverables ng tao. Kailangan malinaw sa kanya in spite of work from home. So, I think after that initial 3 months, medyo nakabangon din. And in terms of servicing naman sa clients, I don't think na-apektuhan. It's more of the internal processes that we had to adapt.
Sir, how do you reach now your clientele or your prospective clients? Kasi medyo limited ngayon. What media are you using now?
Iba-iba po. Since before, laging quad media tayo, so may digital, print, radio, and kung may budget, TV. Pero most of the time, yung banks normally sa print and radio and digital. Nung napansin ko namin ngayon, kasi presidente din ako ng Bank Marketing Association of the Philippines. Nung napansin po namin is that many of the banks are really swinging into digital. Mas heavy yung advertising nila doon and a little more scientific yung process nila pagpasok sa digital. Hindi lang sa mga YouTube or social media ads, pati sa mga dito yung sa Viber, may ads sila sa Messenger, sa tawag dito sa mga games, yung mga free games na may mga commercial, andun na rin sila. So, talaga lahat na nang pwedeng mapasukan sa digital. Kasi we have to admit it, ever since the pandemic hit, ang taas talaga ng tumaas talaga yung usage ng digital ng Pilipino. Not just talagang in our country, tumaas talaga. And the number one talaga is Facebook. So nasa data naman natin yun. So in terms of advertising, we're really doing more in social media and digital. Pero to me, as a advertiser, kailangan you have to hit all points eh. Hindi lang digital. Kailangan may support din or kailangan hagapin mo rin yung print, out of home, radio, and kung may budget, TV. Kasi it's a more total approach, and you probably hit more of your target audience kung meron kang quad media na plan.
More so on how Veterans Bank is retaking its revenue drivers to deliver above market growth, right up after a short break.
Viber is the free and secure way to connect with friends and family anywhere. Send messages and make phone and video calls for free. Download Viber now.
Mike and I, we love different things. From choosing our food
To relax.
Hello, can you get the following? One pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slides, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget my hashtag 143SM. Call to the... Wait lang, okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver. Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa cancel ko sa Lipa? Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Call hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call hashtag 143SM. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call na rin kayo. Call to deliver.
And we're back with Veterans Bank's Mike Villarreal. So, sir, I want you to elucidate more on what you said earlier. So, how did you rethink their revenue drivers to deliver above market growth, sir? Both organically and inorganically po.
Well, yung pagbabangko talaga is ang pinaka main revenue source niyan is lending pa rin talaga at the end of the day. So lending pa rin kami nag-focus, which is corporate loans, no? Kasi yun talaga yung bread and butter ni Veterans Bank. Meron din kaming pension loans, pero I think sa retail market medyo maano kasi dyan marami kaming competitors. However, sa corporate loans, I think yun talaga yung bread and butter. Like I said, we focused on industries that we think would still thrive and even prosper even more, no, during the pandemic. So yun yung mga tiningnan namin na activities. Yun yung mga tinarget natin na clients. We even offered credit lines and so on and so forth. So yun talaga yung bread and butter. Sa fees kasi yun naman talaga yung three revenue streams ng banks. Yung lending, interest rates, fees, and then yung mga disposal ng assets. So yung sa fees, ito yung mga trading, gano'n, and of course yung mga fees niya sa banking. Meron din, but it's not as strong as we would want it to be. Hopefully when we launch our app by middle of this year, our new app, medyo tataas yung driver na yun. So yun ang that's the plan. We're still parang walang choice talaga. We really have to go digital. At least provide that option. Kasi kung meron ka ng traditional, yung brick and mortar na banko, dapat bigyan mo rin ng option yung kliyente mo na pwede siya pumunta sa app niya or online or pwede siya sa mga, let's say, sa mga partner na pwede siya mag-withdraw. Kunyari mga pawn shop or sari-sari store and so forth. Parang ganun yung talaga doon talaga papunta yung banking ngayon. Parang as many options as you can give to your clients, the better, para yung mas convenient sa kanila, yun ang gagamitin nila.
So can you tell us more about this app? Ano po yung mga novel capabilities ng app in the pipeline, sir?
So far, maganda sa medyo nahuli kami mag-launch. Ipag-aralan namin yung ano yung maganda sa iba, ano yung hindi maganda sa iba. So napansin namin na pag customer-centric yung app, ibig sabihin empowered yung customer na I can choose sino yung babayaran ko, I can choose sino yung transferan ko. May option ako for other gateways like Paymaya or GCash. Marami akong connection links doon. In other words, the more number of channels or options that the customer has, parang yun ang mas preferred ng mga tao ngayon eh. Of course, ease of use sa navigation pa rin is a factor. Pero at the end of the day, para sa nakikita namin, yung the client feels that they're empowered na hindi sila limited dun sa binibigay ng services sa app mo.
So sir, many banks have transformed their approach to credit risk and collections adequately for the new environment. So how did it go with you, sir?
Actually, it's a good question. Lahat naman ng banks, I think, na tamaan itong pandemic because many of the businesses really nag-experience ng slowdown. So we really had to talk to all our lending clients, lalo na yung nakita namin na nahihirapan. And before mangyari na nahihirapan, nag-ano na kami, sige, anong gusto nyo options? What are you, Parang before mag-default sila, kausapin na. Parang ganun yung approach na ginawa ng credit namin. I think that worked for us, no? However, hindi mo talaga maiwasan that the pandemic really hit a lot of our businesses. Kaya nahirapan talaga magbayad yung iba. Pero yun nga, ang tinatry namin is to keep an open line with them, no? Para hindi naman kolekta kagad yung or kagad, habol kagad. That's the approach that we've been trying to do para the end of the day, kung makakatulong kami sa kanila, try namin sa abot na makakaya namin.
Sir, in terms of top-tier leadership, how did you reinforce basically the pace of decision making you have established during this crisis to continue with making the right decisions faster po?
I think common naman yung nangyari sa mga corporates. Dati maraming committee meeting, di ba, sa mga mga korporasyon. Ngayon group chat na yung mga committee ngayon or Zoom. So yun yung mga options na ginagawa ngayon. Actually, napaganda at napabilis kasi pag may decision na kailangan gawin kagad, may group chat kayo, nandun lahat ng group heads, division heads, and even the CEO and COO. So mabilis yung decision making, no? And I think nakatulong yung technology. Ang issue lagi, and even before sa mga ibang sinabi ko, yung security lang talaga. Kailangan ma-secure lang natin yung mga channels natin in terms of yung mga discussions. Kasi highly confidential minsan yung mga discussions. And then, ganun din sa mga connections ng mga employees. Kasi all of a sudden yung system ng bangko na-access nila sa bahay. So you have to be sure na secure yung mga sistema po natin.
Sir, for this year, ano po ang plano niyo para sa mga veterans or their beneficiaries na bago?
Sa Veterans Bank, po kami, one of the conduit banks ng pension. So hindi naman po talaga kami nagbibigay ng benefits, so to speak. Although yung karamihan ng mga veterans are World War II veterans are the stockholders of the bank. We have in our registry 384,000 Filipino World War II veterans as our stockholders. So napakadami po nila, and many of them kumbaga nasa second generation na yung stockholding namin. So in terms of yung plans namin, ayun nga, we are trying our best kasi I think magpe-persist pa yung pandemic. Yung biggest issue nila is yung kasi may government regulation tayo sa pension na kailangan magpakita sila physically, di ba? Kasi para maiwasan yung mga ghost pensioners. So merong sistema na ginagawa ngayon na pwedeng through technology magpapakita na lang yung pensioner na buhay pa siya. Second is we're also using yung delivery na method. Meron kaming product, we call it pension delivery. Ito talaga na nasulit nung pandemic. Dinadala po sa bahay ng pensioner yung pension niya. So tapos yung driver is instructed na pwede lang niya i-release yung pension dun sa pensioner mismo. Hindi pwede sa asawa, sa anak, sa kapatid. or sa katulong, dapat sa pensioner mismo kailangan makita niya na buhay yung pensioner. Mga ganong klaseng services yung ino-offer po namin para hindi masyado mahirapan yung pensioners. Ito mas gusto to ng mga government agencies sapagkat na-ensure nila na buhay pa ho yung pensioner dahil hindi ho bibigay ng driver yung trained kasi sila na ito yung itsura ng pensioner, kailangan ganito. So and so forth. So yun yung mga naitulong namin sa pensioners so far. Yun po.
Sir, kasi meron pa akong mga pensioners, supposed to be pensioners na veterans na namatay na. And then, yung mga heirs nila, hindi na alam kung paano. I mean, they lost contact. Paano nila matitrace yun? Paano natin matitrace na beneficiary sila?
Actually, sa pension, hanggang lang siya sa spouse, no? Sa widow. After the widow, mag-stop na po yung pension from the government. Ang matutuloy po is yung stockholders, pagiging stockholders niya ng Veterans Bank. So may proseso po yun, paano i-transfer sa pangalan niya yung pagiging stockholder niya ng Philippine Veterans Bank. So, yun po. As of now, meron kaming plans. Medyo na sidetrack lang siya ng konti kasi yung priority namin is to launch the app and to better yung banking services namin. Pero before, we had plans to improve yung benefits natin sa mga stockholders like hospitalization benefits and so on. So may mga ganong discussions. Medyo na sideline lang siya dahil because of the pandemic.
So sir, yung last question po. Customer experience is the buzzword of the day. So most of the innovation agenda is actually centered around customer experience. So how do you extend value across the customer experience, sir?
I'm sorry, what was the last line?
Sir, how do you extend value po in terms of customer experience?
I think as we are trying, no? Of course, hindi na kami perfect, trying to listen to our customers. I'll give you an example. Nung pandemic, hindi nga makalabas yung mga pensioner dahil senior citizens sila. So bawal lumabas sila. And yung mga nag-ATM, medyo nautusan nila kung sino man yung mag-withdraw sa ATM. Although technically hindi pwede yun. Pero yun nga, dahil necessity, ina-allow namin. Yung iba, however, yung mga those na who want to, kumbaga, kasi kailangan nila mag-update every 6 months yung nila, yung proof of life kung tawagin. Nahirapan sila kasi paano kung naabutan sila ng proof of life tapos kalagitnaan ng ECQ at that time. So ang daming complaints namin nakuha around that time. Hindi nila nakuha yung pension nila. Kailangan magpapapirma pa sila. Nung dati kasi before the pandemic, kailangan may may notarized na na special power of attorney yung magwi-withdraw to make sure na siya talaga yung authorized representative. So may maraming issues na nakita kami na naintindihan namin na dinadaanan mga pensioners. So we made adjustments. Kahit handwritten note na lang ng pensioner na may pirma niya, tinatanggap na namin kahit di na notarized. Second is hinabaan namin yung process nung yung pagiging allowed sila na to withdraw. Third is we allowed yung proof of life via online, meaning via Skype or parang messenger, tatawagan namin yung apo or anak. Tapos so pakita lang niya, buhay pa ho si tatay. Kaya ito siya, parang ganun. So parang mga ganong kailangan talaga mag-adapt parang service na rin sa mga veterans natin. Pero yun, the idea is nakinig kami, we tried to listen. Kasi kung hindi mo papakinggan yung mga complaints ng mga, I mean yun yung purpose That's why you have a customer experience apart from ensuring na mabuti yung service mo. Napahinggan nyo rin yung yung mga hinaing nila, ano yung problema nila sa proseso nyo. Para that way, ma-improve nyo yung sarili nyo. As I said, wala naman perfectong company So, tinatry namin na lang makinig. And I think that has helped us along the way. Yun po.
Maraming salamat, Sir Mike Villarreal, First Vice President ng Veterans Bank.
Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat din po.
And that's it for today's Straight Talk. I am your host, Vernon Velasco, and Sir Jun Yap. Good morning.
Good morning.
Click click, that's it. Never thought self-service can be this slick. Modify plans in a snap, walang hirap, it's a wrap. Just tap the app, now you can check, view, subscribe, renew. Help and support for you. Out with the ring apps are the in thing, you know what to do. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Self-service and easy to use, mas okay tayo dyan. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Instant response, no hold time pa, wala nang hintayan. Download Globe at home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.
Download the Globe One and Globe at Home apps from Google Play Store and Apple App Store now.
Download Globe at home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.